I'm hitting the trails for the first time with the cheap Jeep. Let's see if this budget rig can drive as good as it looks. Hello everyone and welcome. I've got the JL Jeep Wrangler back out once again, though not on the bench this time. Today I'm going to be taking this rig out onto the trails and see how it drives. In a previous video I posted a few weeks back here on the channel, I started out with what you're seeing here. A lower cost RC crawler that might not be much to look at, but I thought there was a lot of potential here. With nothing more than some paint, this body really came to life, a process which I documented in detail in that previous video. I wasn't interested in making this thing into an all-out crawler, as there are probably better starting points if that's your goal, but I decided to make one strategic upgrade, and that was the wheels. I'm accomplishing two things with this single upgrade: better looks and hopefully better performance. These aftermarket wheels made from metal are quite a bit heavier than the stock plastic ones, putting some weight down low, which is desperately needed with this very top-heavy hard-body rig. Combine this with the tires that seem to grip a little better than the stock ones, and it seems the hill climbing abilities have definitely been improved, though of course this truck still has its limits. I'm not expecting this Jeep to be an all-out comp crawler here, but instead sort of a blend of a trail truck that'll do some crawler things. Something that was pointed out in the comments of the prior video that I think is important to keep in mind is that this truck does have plastic gears in the drivetrain, as do many lower-cost mini and micro-size crawlers. Because of this, you definitely want to be careful when you're doing upgrades, and not add too much weight or too much power, as eventually those plastic gears and plastic drive shafts aren't going to be up to the task. And then sooner or later, you're basically having to rebuild everything in the drivetrain. You may wind up in a situation where if you're trying to build a low-budget, more performance-oriented crawler, you may find that you're spending more trying to make one of these cheaper rigs stronger and more capable than you would have had to spend if you had just started with something a bit more expensive, but had the metal gears and better performance right out of the box. Just something to keep in mind, but again, for being more of a trail rig, the extra weight from those wheels is enough to make this vehicle more planted and give it some better grip without overworking the stock drivetrain and electronics. It's all just a matter of knowing what you want to build, knowing the limits of the platform, and deciding how exactly you want to go about making those upgrades. And really, this truck is pretty good out of the box. It's got some good articulation and good low-end control. Not the best, of course, but I think there's certainly enough here to be enjoyable to drive. We were able to capture some great shots of this rig and found plenty of suitable terrain for the size and capabilities of this truck. Enough to give it a challenge, but not so difficult to be well beyond what it's capable of. As I've said before, you really want to match the environment to the truck that you're driving to get the most out of it. And we're very fortunate to have access to a wide variety of different terrain and obstacles to suit both the mild and more capable rigs that I have in my fleet, as well as the smaller scale ones and larger ones. With the arrival of spring and some milder temperatures, it definitely makes it a lot more enjoyable to get out and do some RC driving. Now, it's probably worth noting that a lot of the footage that you're seeing here has been slowed down to make it look more lifelike. As has been pointed out, that undampened suspension can definitely make this truck flop around quite a bit. But for a trail rig like this, I think it works pretty well. Obviously, this suspension setup can be a bit undesirable if you're going for more performance. A simple shock upgrade, or if possible, just adding some oil to these shocks that it comes with, would definitely be a good upgrade if you're wanting to dampen that suspension a bit. But I think the Jeep is definitely looking pretty good. Those painted details are a huge improvement, no doubt. I am noticing the lack of any door panels in some of these shots. Like I said towards the end of that prior video, if you're looking to do some similar painted detail on your rig, definitely go ahead and at the very least paint the inside of the body black in these areas so you don't see that red shining through like you do sometimes with this Jeep here. Also, that red plastic does look a little bit translucent in some of these shots when the light is able to pass through it, which definitely gives it sort of a plasticky appearance. Again, as I talked about in that prior video, if you really wanted to elevate the appearance even beyond what I've done here, I would certainly recommend priming the entire body and then laying down several coats of automotive paint, or even just some standard hardware store Rust-Oleum or Krylon brand paint would work as well. But with this in mind, even just that little bit of work with a paintbrush and an airbrush that I did here has definitely made things look a lot better. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this little update and taking a look at some of the footage we captured this week. I had a lot of fun with this project, and I hope it demonstrates that you don't need a huge budget to build a great looking radio controlled model that not only looks great sitting on the shelf, but is also a lot of fun to get out and drive on the trails. I like to try and showcase a variety of different projects here on the channel, both some of the highly detailed, more complex and tiny projects like that 69 Chevelle I've been working on, which contains a lot of 3D printing and custom building. But then also, I think projects like this Jeep here is a nice contrast to that, with this being a low-cost, ready-to-run model that only required some new shoes and a little bit of detail painting. I've got some other lower-cost, ready-to-run models that I've got my eye on for doing some similar upgrades, so definitely stay tuned for more on that. And of course, if you're interested in seeing more videos like these, feel free to subscribe to get notified of future uploads. As always, I want to conclude today's video by giving a huge thanks to all of our channel members and Patreon supporters. It's you folks who help make these videos possible. Especially as the weather warms up around here, I've got some really cool things in the works that I'm looking forward to sharing with all of you. But that's all I've got for today's video. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.